with all of you again. So I'm glad you turned to face us and, to be in solidarity with us. And I'm going to turn the mic over to anyone else who wants to speak on this side of the sidewalk in a minute. But I do want to say for the people here as the enforcers, I know you resent being out here after 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. I'm sure you have many better things to do. You'd rather be at home in bed or with your families or taking care of real security problems on this campus. I know you may resent us and this crowd here, but I really urge and invite you to turn your frustration and anger at the people who are making you enforce this policy, which makes no sense whatsoever. You know it, they know it, and we know it. So please turn your frustration at the people who are asking you to enforce an unenforceable policy. Thank you. I'll turn over the mic now to anyone else.
Thank you. My name is Heather Coggy, and I'm a staff member at WFIU and WTIU. Back on April 25th, I received a text from my son stating that the Indiana State Police had stormed the peaceful demonstration at Dunn Meadow. I left my office at RTVS as soon as I could to check on him and his girlfriend and make sure they were okay. They were physically okay, but they were shaken as they pointed my attention to the sniper atop the IMU. At that moment, the mama bear in me awoke, not just on behalf of my own kids, but on behalf of all the young people rightly demanding an end to genocide in Gaza and an end to IU's complicity in it. My mama bear instincts have not subsided. Last week and the week before, I participated in the candlelight vigils here at Sample Gates, inspired by the courage of the student protesters as well as the professors and activists standing alongside me now. Should I wait? Are we working the sound? Okay. As a result of my violation of UA 10, I received a phone call this past Thursday from my direct supervisor informing me that she and I were scheduled to meet with a representative from IU's HR office. That meeting, which I was assured was not going to be a big deal, certainly nothing to lose sleep over, that's a quote, took place the following morning, so just this past Friday at 11:30 a.m. I was in the meeting no more than 8 minutes, and during that time acknowledged that I had been present at Sample Gates last Sunday. I was handed a copy of the UA 10 policy and was also referred to the corrective action policy for non-union staff members, which is what I am. 5 hours later, I received this letter. It's short and to the point. Bear with me just a moment while I get to it. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Heather, this letter serves as written warning for violation of the Indiana University Expressive Activity Policy, UA 10. A due process meeting was held with you today. During the meeting, you confirmed that you were engaged in expressive activity on campus after 11 p.m. on Sunday, September 9th, 2024. At the time, you were made aware that your behavior was in violation of Policy UA 10. You were afforded the opportunity to comply with the policy. However, you chose to remain on campus in direct violation of the time restrictions that are clearly identified in the policy. And here's the kicker. Further violations of this policy will result in the separation of your employment with Indiana University. I have one little bit more here. Until this afternoon, today, I was determined to return to Sample Gates tonight and let the corrective action policy unfold. Wiser voices persuaded me to take a pause as together we consider how I, as a staff member, might best honor the death of free speech at Indiana University. I may yet change my mind tonight and walk past the flower pots, or I may wait a bit longer, but rest assured, this mama bear will not be silenced.
think I'll convene from down here until we finish with the speaking. We have people. Somebody else wants to speak here. I'd like to ask people, if you've already spoken once, wait until everyone else has had an opportunity.
May I?
Sure.
Would you mind sharing your light with me? Oh, of course. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, first, my name is Deborah Cohn, and I'm faculty here. Second, I'm standing here tonight not on IU property because I'm currently facing sanctions for having held this blank sign on IU property after hours on the night of the 1st. Third, I self-reported my violation as the authorities seem to be very selective in their reporting of people who violate the policy. So what follows is a slightly revised and pruned version of the letter that I sent to my dean after meeting with him. I chose to violate the policy by carrying a blank sign to demonstrate how the policy is not only overbroad, but preposterous as well. I also did it to underscore the potential dangers of its overreach. In recent years, protesters in Hong Kong, China, and Russia have been arrested for holding up blank signs. While there are differences of scale and severity of punishment, it is not a good look for IU to be emulating authoritarian regimes that prohibit holding up blank signs. Yeah. While I held the sign, people were confused, but some walked up to me to ask what I was doing, so I explained it to them. The conversation showed me how an act of protest had the power to open doors to dialogue, analysis, and critical thinking, even if it was prohibited as expressive activity. This is what a university is supposed to do. At one point, though, a male of student age called me an effing idiot, not effing, among other things, for doing this. I did not react, nor did any of the IU personnel come to see what had happened, despite the loud and offensive nature of his expressive activity. Yeah. IU has made no effort to cultivate dialogue or communication about any of the difficult issues that we are now facing. Additionally, rather than trying to encourage freedom of inquiry and expression, the administration has increasingly and repeatedly restricted it. Indeed, after the Samia Halabi exhibition was canceled, the Chronicle of Higher Education published a piece by Alex Lichtenstein, whose headline proclaimed that, quote, Indiana University is where academic freedom goes to die. Yeah. Snipers, state police, and riot gear, helicopters, censorship. These are phenomena that I, as a Latin Americanist, teach my students about when we study authoritarian regimes. They are also phenomena that I experienced firsthand growing up under dictatorship in Central America. I never dreamed that they could take place here, or that the president of this university would invite snipers and police onto this campus, and that their weapons would be pointed at my students and at my colleagues. Last month, I attended a national conference. When I said where I work, one person immediately responded, "I'm sorry." Yeah. Others just flinched. Sadly, this reaction is increasingly frequent. IU's leadership has done severe damage, not just to free speech, but to the university's reputation. Our students and my colleagues and I deserve much better.
Thank you. Thank you. I just thought of something else. I'll just say expressive activity. Is farting expressive activity? Wouldn't it be? I mean, that's pretty expressive. And I wonder if we should all eat beans and come out here at night at 11 o'clock and sit up there and fart for several hours, you know? That'd be pretty expressive. And it would illustrate the stench that is on this campus right now, led by a stench produced by the Whitten administration.
Messing it up.
Yeah, it's becoming a cesspool of thought. Somebody else? Go for it, Heather.
All right. Woo. That's all. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're better quicker at this than I am, probably.
There we go. All right. Thank you. All right. So I'm Heather Aku. I'm also a faculty member here. And I'm just going to share a couple of excerpts from a letter I wrote. I was formally reprimanded for attending the very first vigil on August 25th, and a letter has been placed in my personnel file.
So in my response to this, I said, I admit that I attended a candlelight vigil at the Sample Gates that began at 11:30 on August 25th and ended around 12:30 on the 26th, the first day of the new semester at IU. In addition to participating in a peaceful assembly, I engaged in several other expressive activities. I spoke with students and colleagues, I held a lit candle, and perhaps most importantly, I wore a t-shirt that said love in both English and Arabic. I wore the shirt to express love for my students and colleagues, grounded in my religious faith. As a Muslim who is also a fashion historian, everything I wear is very intentional. I dress modestly, I generally cover my hair when I'm in public, and sometimes I wear distinctive religious symbols. For example, on the day I was arrested in Dunn Meadow, I was wearing a t-shirt with Arabic calligraphy that said Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In English, this phrase means, in the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. It is a prayer that Muslims all over the world say many times every day. It connects me with my deepest personal values. And skipping ahead for a moment, because I don't need to read the whole thing for you right now. As the faculty advisor for a Muslim, backing up. One might argue there's a simple solution in my case. I should just stay away from campus between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. I do not think that is a reasonable solution since learning can occur at any time. However, it is not a solution at all for students who live on campus. As the faculty advisor for Muslim women of IU, I feel obligated to look out for the rights and well-being of my advisees. This policy is incompatible with being Muslim. It is also incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. Indiana Code 21-39-8-9 does allow public institutions of higher education like IU to regulate the time, place, and manner of expressive activity. However, any restrictions must be reasonable in the following ways. There are 4 restrictions. The time restrictions in UA10 are not narrowly tailored, and they do not provide, quote, ample alternative means of expression. There is literally no alternative to wearing clothing at night, since public nudity is also illegal. As Indiana Code 35-45-4-1.5 describes, quote, a person who knowingly or intentionally appears in a public place in a state of nudity commits public nudity, a Class C misdemeanor, which is kind of ironic since at my arrest in Dunn Meadow, I was charged with a Class B misdemeanor because apparently standing up for my students and saying that I don't think they should be murdered is somehow worse than public nudity. I regret that officials at this university seem to have such a poor understanding of state and federal law and such little regard for my religious freedom. I do not regret violating this policy, but I will refrain from doing so again until this matter is settled in court. Thank you.
Okay, so this is barely a speech, but essentially I want to announce that we are going to visit the site that is currently fenced off. We're going to have a march. There's going to be a banner back behind Sample Gates if you follow me. We're going to visit the place where free speech supposedly is meant to occur, but it's currently fenced off. So if you'll follow me if you're willing.